This week on Cinematographologically Speaking, the crew talk about Michael Haneke's fifth film, Code Unknown. Haneke maintains his reputation for tackling complex social issues, this time ostensibly focused on immigration, Europe, and classically, modernity. Through a series of loosely connected narratives, Haneke presents a picture of a modern Europe plagued with the question of identity. There's a struggle within over what Europe will be, as a melting pot of a wide range of ethnic and socio-economic backgrounds. In addition, how modernity will be confronted to fulfill or redress various grievances and shortcomings of life in contemporary society. Blessed with material abundance, yet containing a dark core of unfulfilled aspirations. The wheel of so-called progress doesn't spin without claiming some victims and trampling over antiquated psychologies. So sit back, grab a drink, and join us peering into Pandora's box.
Yeah.
That's our song. Thank you, Steven. Recently been criticized for that intro. I think it's unwarranted. Welcome to Cinematographologically Speaking. Today we are talking about Michael Haneke and his is it 1999 or 2000?
2000.
2000.
His 2000th film, Code Unknown.
Dude, he's made 2,000 films?
That's right.
Dude, that's crazy.
So yeah, that's about it. Thank you, Jacob, for the intro. Wonderful, very thought provoking.
Really good.
All right, so we'll do opening thoughts, and we'll get cooking. This was my second viewing. Love this movie. Love Haneke. I don't think it's like his best film, but really like it. One of the few more overtly political films that I really enjoy. Not to say political film, but like obviously more political content than normal. Say, but yeah, really like it. Excited to talk about it.
Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah. Second time I've seen this film. Yeah, I really like this film a lot. I think that it is. It's like his most understated film. As far as like a lot of his kind of techniques that he uses often. I think it's probably my second favorite Hanukkah film under Piano Teacher. But yeah, it's just very enjoyable, and I think is like kind of shows a nice like progression of a lot of the techniques that he's like developed or whatever throughout his filmography, and like style as well.
I thought the movie was good. I also think it's the first time I've seen it. It's the third Hanukkah movie I've seen, and I would rate it as just under Piano Teacher, which Piano Teacher being the best. As far as political content, I guess I'm not super privy. There certainly are elements which I guess are political in the sense that they connect really directly to reality as it is, that it's not meant to be abstract. But as far as like an actual political message, I wasn't picking up on, which I actually enjoyed. It seemed very pure in that sense. It wasn't like a pointed political film. So I'm curious to hear what everyone else has to say about it.
I thought the film was okay. This is also my third Hanukkah film that I've seen. I think the narrative wasn't too gripping, and that's especially because of how fragmented it was. There were several narratives happening at the same time, switch between them. So it wasn't as gripping as something that's just purely linear. I think that where the movie falls narratively, it picks itself back up, like aesthetically. I liked a lot of the imagery. in the movie, and I think that's where it's partially redeemed, which makes it, in my eyes, okay.
You're not gonna like this, but I would say that I almost didn't like the movie. Third Hanukkah, first viewing. There was absolutely amazing scenes, but holistically, it made a lot of the scenes that could have been good, or even were good, felt they lacked enough emphasis or weight to them because it was so fragmented, and because, like, frankly, I didn't even really like understand like what was going on like for like large portions of the movie. And I would even say that I got kind of bored, which is the first time I could say that about any of the podcast movies that we've done so far. So hopefully this podcast changes my mind, but we'll see.
So, stunning revelations. Brody coming out as blue-pilled. Very interesting.
That's a classic intro for me. I don't like it that much. That's okay.
No, I actually am surprised by this, and but it's okay because you're wrong, and so I think we're gonna come.
Yeah.
We're gonna come.
You're gonna tell me why I'm wrong, and then I'm gonna be like, wow,
Yeah.
wow, 4.8. And I'm gonna come in like, yeah, this is a 1.1, and I'm gonna be transformed.
What's
I am surprised that you find this more boring than Seventh Continent. I think Seventh Continent is significantly more boring compared to this. I thought this was actually like pretty fast and like it had a lot of spunk to it, and I was enjoying it a lot, you know.
Yeah,
but I guess that's
I agree with that. Second that.
Yeah, I don't know how much we want to get into this. I don't like, but the pacing, I agree, was quick and nice. Well, actually, I don't know. The actually, I wouldn't say the pacing was that quick, because there would be times where I'm like, dude, like, how long am I gonna sit here and like watch this? Like, I feel like I wasn't getting information. Nothing was happening. You know,
Do any scenes stand out that way to you? Like any memorable moments where you were really bored?
The very end, in particular. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
But
dude,
those drums were
the
so.
end is
Dude, I don't know. I don't know how much I want to talk about how much I was bored when we haven't talked about it much.
Well, I think
we should move on for a second.
Okay, I'd like to say two things, I suppose. First of all, I want to apologize real quickly, both to you guys in the audience. I recently moved, and there's a lot of noise. I'm renovating the kitchen right now, and I've got some workers all around here, so you might be hearing a lot of hustle bustle.
Yeah.
Just we're gonna figure this out.
Yeah, he's also he took inspiration from Hanukkah and actually is housing some illegal immigrants in his apartment. Kudos to him.
Troy's also naked right now for the viewers at home. on his webcam right now, he is naked, and that's not a joke.
I'm a spread eagle on webcam. Yeah, I think. Well, you said that like you felt like you didn't know what was going on, and I feel like that is going to be like the biggest, like contributor to boredom. Like I feel like at some point, I don't know. That's just how it happens. But yeah, what do we want to talk about? Did someone, John?
Let's start with the opening scene.
Well, I think.
Yeah, I want to talk. No, I want to talk about deaf children.
Okay. What?
Oh,
yeah. Well, John, I thought you said maybe it's related to the deaf children, but I thought you said you had prepared a substantive question to sort of kickstart us.
Okay, yeah, I did. No, I didn't. Can we just talk about deaf children?
Yeah, okay, let's talk about deaf kids.
Okay, yeah. First of all, I love the opening scene. I love how it's like not very clear what's going on at the very beginning, but I don't know. I like how I mean, and this is true for the entire film. I like this kind of being dropped into this like different situations or whatever, like in the middle of something that's going on, and yeah, this whole sequence. I don't know. It's so I don't know. I think it's quite beautiful. The way it's shot is gorgeous and so simple and so real and like real feeling. And I don't know. Yeah, I want to talk about deaf kids and communication.
All right. Does I've got grand theories.
Well, obviously, we're gonna get the basic takes out of the way first. Is all of the words that they're signing, have to do with the film, the rest of the film, right? It's like alone, trapped, maybe like afraid or something. And then
Alone. Stuff
yeah,
like
you
that.
have all these
Hiding place.
immigrants going back to their home country and trying to evade the law or like, live their lives and feeling alone. Yada yada yada, right? It's all related. He didn't just say, "Oh, we'll put a scene where they're just signing some random garbage." So yeah, it has to do with the film itself clearly, and what's the don't we return to the deaf children at the end? And what's the what are they? What are the words at the end? I forget.
There is no the words there
There's
is no
no
words
words,
at the end.
just
It's
a
just
child
a kid.
acting
There's a
something
kid
out.
like pantomiming
Okay.
and signing. Yeah.
Grand theory alert, which never sounds good when you just say it, but I mean, for starters, we open up looking at this girl, right? Like we're the audience to her performance, though we don't exactly realize it at that time, and then it's revealed that she has an audience and it's children. So we, the audience, are likened to kids or children.
Yeah.
But the artist is also a child, and the children, yeah, like Elsmore saying, sad, hiding place, these sort of generally negative things. Although the thing acted out is seemingly negative and like scared and stuff like this. But the children can't seem to decipher what it was about to the satisfaction of the artist, and then thus goes the movie.
Very true.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
A very classic Hanukkah take.
Yeah.
Given that he thinks that explanations are a bit ridiculous, given like
Mhm.
any like serious problem, like an explanation is usually relatively futile or like we're left like pretty incapable of something.
Yeah.
I think of Seventh Continent, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely present here, which is why I think, and we'll get into it later, I'm sure, but which is why I think the whole political nature about it, like I said, I enjoy because I don't think that there isn't like an obvious position to take. It really felt more honest and ambivalent, like it's just trying to show you the problem, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely. That is, I think this scene sets up that whole atmosphere of like, in terms of at least the political thing, yeah, because I think, right, it's covering topics that are political insofar as like they're well discussed. But yeah, what I like so much about it is it's not neutral. Like, it's not neutral, but rather like it seems to present all these micro arguments or like give you these certain senses, but leaving you ultimately with no sense of direction. So it's not like it I don't know. It doesn't seem to me like it's like a super neutral look, and it doesn't also seem to me that it's like, oh well, here's good thing about immigrants, and then oh, but here's bad thing about immigrants, and they just sum to zero. But rather, like you're just shown these very complicated situations, some indicating other things, and yada yada, and in the end, you're like, oh, I don't, But yeah, I that's what I like so much about it is like, at the risk of sounding cringe, it sort of speaks to like the like ultimate complexity of like the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. You go.
No? Okay, I'll go. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, Jacob, you just said that the words or whatever that they're trying to guess what she's doing or whatever is relating to the themes with like immigration, but I mean I think it's also relating. I mean we spend like almost a majority of the film with Juliette Binoche, Juliette Binoche's character, and it's like I think a lot of these words and stuff definitely relate to the like things that don't have as much like political connotations. I think a lot of like the kind of themes that we're talking about, like with like Seventh Continent, about like just like modern world or whatever, and like being an artist in modern world and blah blah blah, and like the situation that those characters are in is still like all of these words and stuff definitely apply to them as well.
I didn't contain it to just
yeah.
the political themes. I just said
Okay, yeah, sorry,
But
I didn't mean
it's
to,
still-
to
yeah,
peg you for that. I just thought I'd say
good
that as well.
emphasis.
I have, unless someone's got something, I have maybe a good idea that could get us going on something for a while.
All right, let's
Sure.
hear it.
Go ahead.
Maybe Elsmore. Unfortunate. Elsmore. Jacob is right that modernity sucks. Blah blah blah. What you want to give us maybe a spiel about how this movie is just another ailments of modernity? Do you see that film? Do you see this as in that vein?
I mean, I think it is not in the same way necessarily. It's a little bit of a different approach, right? Because it's like, whereas most of the other films are addressing modernity as this like abstract proposition, where it's like,
Mhm.
what is it to live in the modern world as a middle class person, in Seventh Continent. You get that's basically the full brunt of it, right? Whereas
Yeah.
this goes like a layer deeper, or like I guess a layer shallower, because it's addressing concrete things about the real world, as opposed to just this idea of modernity. I think it's less abstract, but obviously he has a consistent outlook in his effort to, do social critique, right? So I mean, yeah, there's some of that.
Well, let me know what you think of this. My theory, working theory so far, is something along the lines of like the overarching presence is that of modernity, specifically like first world modernity,
Yeah,
and its effects, like not its effects, but like the relationship between all these people and modernity, and
Right.
like these people also find themselves like in different right, they're in different milieus, they're in different like spaces. So like you have like Anne, who's the Juliette Binoche character, right? She's like fully entrenched in modernity for all we know, right? Born and raised, she's an elite, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Bulgarian immigrant woman.
Are they Bulgarian?
I don't know.
They
That was my
went back
best
to
guess.
I think they're from Kosovo. Maybe they're
But isn't Kosovo's in?
no, Kosovo's in Serbia.
Oh, Serbia.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got them, right? You've got the immigrants they're sort of like this force towards modernity or whatever. You've got like the father, and oh my gosh, I want to talk about him, like the father and son on the farm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, when he cries in the bathroom after all they have to eat is beets, and then gets
Yeah.
in the motorcycle, all this stuff is so heart crushing. But right, he's in like a non-modern frame where the modern world is like has him surrounded and is crushing that way of life.
Yeah.
And his son is drawn away from him by modernity. And anyway, so like just this thing, like each character can be viewed as some kind of like defined by their relationship to modernity. And then also, I'm also operating. I'm very open to the photographer's take, where he says that life is complex in modernity, and elsewhere it's simple, or simpler and more straightforward and more easier to get a grip on. Like he talks about, he's when he's out in the war-torn countries and stuff like this, right? It's like very simple, and only when it's back home that things get complicated and a problem for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sort of also like buying into that. I think that fits in somehow.
Yeah, that's a good take. I haven't considered that angle, but like it was, I didn't put it into actual thought, but I was kind of processing that on a deeper level, I guess.
On a
The
Jungian
contrast
level.
between the farm and the boy wants to stay in the city. He wants to stay with mommy Modernity. He doesn't want to go back to father farm. He wants to stay with mother Modernity.
Maybe unironically true.
Yeah.
Steven will be the judge of that.
Well, actually, we can relate this to the sorrows of young Werther because he actually escapes the city to live a more patriarchal lifestyle in the countryside. And really, Honk Honka is just a total hack fraud because he's just ripping off like German romantic literature to make this film.
Well, he's surely aware of it.
All right, you can edit that out. But I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Someone? All right. Okay. Do we want to talk about
Let's talk about
like specific topics like the immigration lens or the racial talk and like
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could talk about the racial thing. I mean, yeah, we can talk about the racial thing and like the introduction of this like young black guy.
yeah.
That and that like first kind of the first like contention of the
This,
film.
his name like Amadi
um,
or Amari or something.
Yeah, or Amado or something like that. I think that's
Amadou.
I have no idea how to
I
say
think
it.
it's Amadou.
Amadou. Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, he yeah, we have his like first like contention or whatever, like with the kid who's running away from the farm, you know,
Brody.
and he like is like holding him to this like throwing the trash in the woman's lap, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, that was so mean.
So bad.
that was
yeah,
hate
yeah,
that
the
shit.
throwing the
So
trash in the lap
terrible.
is
It's so
Yeah.
awful.
but yeah, I mean, oh yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
I just got to give my take where it's like this film is not neutral at all.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
It's not neutral at all.
It is,
Uh,
dude.
Wait, hold
Go
on.
ahead,
I want
go
to hear.
ahead.
Wait, I want to hear. Yeah, I want to
Let's
hear
hear
your
it.
reason
The
why.
Let's hear
Western
it.
man throwing the trash in the homeless woman's lap, only for the noble savage to come up, you know, and be like, "Oh, that's not right." It's kind of like that's already, even if it's presented, even if we could assume that he's conscious of this being a trope, um, but he's still inserting it in on purpose to try to just explore every avenue of this question, to kind of put that trope in there about how okay, it's actually us, we are the bad ones, we gotta bring them in because they're noble and they know how to treat people right, or whatever. Like I it's never contrasted with like a different trope. Yeah, but it's just like suburban mom outlook, is like
No, I think it is contrasted with a different trope in the Arabs later on, where he spits on the lady's face. Like, so you get this other trope of like just like this obviously bad like immigrant culture of weird, and you're oppressing us, and he
Yeah,
spits on
class
her. And
warfare
he's
on
clearly
the
he's the
bus.
bad
Yeah,
person. Clearly
yeah.
he's the bad person in that.
I don't know,
And-
like
and-
No, and
and-
I don't even think it's clear that Amadi. What do you think his name is?
Amadou.
Amadou.
Yeah, but I could be
Amadu?
wrong.
Yeah, I
If
wish-
you
I'm
want- if you
trying-
wanna look
I mean,
it
that's
up
a
I'm
yourself.
trying
That's
to
how it's
I'm trying to
spelled.
scrub through it and find out. But the first interaction, I don't even think it's clear. I mean, do you think that like if you see someone like disrespect a homeless person, like this gives you warrant to like get physical with them and hit them?
Oh no, yeah, no.
Right, like not at all. Like
Yeah.
you don't even think that this person did the right thing. Like it's not like the impulse seems super agreeable. Like what he's reacting to is a terrible, awful thing, and like it was good up until it gets so physical. Like no, you're not going anywhere. You gotta apologize to this woman. Like this seems like a total like dad thing. Like a dad, like a son does something bad and the dad punishes him by making
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and
that-
so then
that
he
was
assumes
exactly
a proper role,
my-
but then he gets all physical and gets all crazy and doesn't have like quite the proper interaction with the police and stuff like this. Like I don't even think the first encounter it's clear at all that this person has done well or behaved properly. Like it's
and
such a mixed bag.
I think that's exactly. I completely agree with Troy, and he was super cringe about the way he went about it, And also, like, you know, if you're from the police's perspective, like, you know, I wouldn't consider them to be like in the wrong or them being like, I don't know, racist or something like that, because like, you know, they didn't see him throw the bag at the Serbian, and you know, as far as like they're concerned, like that isn't really like super law breaking. I don't know the laws in France, but you know, I'm sure like you're not going to arrest somebody for that. But if you're going to be fucking fighting some dude and trying to escape from the police
Yeah, okay.
after they
You
ask for
guys
your
are
ID,
talking about
like
the internal logic of the scene. I'm just talking about the framing of the entire scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is
What do you mean
like
the framing?
I don't think that the framing. I mean, I think maybe the initial framing that comes off, it might be what you're talking about. But then as you progress through the movie, you kind of find out who each of these characters are, and like the kid is kind of an asshat, you know, like he's like not, and like he's like disrespecting his father, blah blah blah, like is kind of bitter, and he's just kind of an asshole, and so like his like throwing the trash in the lap, blah blah blah, can be. I mean, it becomes less politically, that like initial political lens, I think, kind of deteriorates throughout the film, and like the Amadou, he like it's kind of revealed that he's like pretty self-righteous as well, like not just only in the first encounter, but as it goes on, he's like feels entitled to some kind of something or other,
like the watch thing.
yeah, like
Whoa,
this watch
super,
thing with the girl in the
weird.
restaurant, and
I don't know where. Sorry, I don't know what the implication is with the watch thing. I think that scene is so good because he shows up and he's like, we ordered a window seat, and the waiter's like, yeah, let me check on
I
that,
think
buddy.
that's a
And he
better-
looks at him like, oh, is this gonna be like me getting discriminated against, right? Like, am I gonna get discriminated against? Is something going on here? Blah blah blah. Waiter gets back and says, actually, you're super late. Right, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm just late." Right, so like, one, I think that's a real thing of like it, not real, like not like that. That would be something that this guy is thinking about, right? Especially as like the first scene is framed either as, oh, you know, young man trying to do the right thing, you know, and then the police show up at just the wrong time and everything looks bad for him and he gets handcuffed. Versus like young man starts to do the right thing, takes it too far, it goes poorly, and things go as they probably should have gone or something. And then anyway, the watch thing I think is a different thing. I think that's all on the girl.
well, oh really?
Well, I think it's weird. He behaves weirdly. She behaves weirdly. Her taking the watch off
it's more
reminds me of
complicated
like a
than that,
kid who's made a decision impulsively and then wants to take it back, but feels like they have to commit. You know, like they're on this date, and that whole date thing has super cute moments, I feel, and then super weird moments. Like when she takes the watch off, I
Yeah.
feel so sad for her because I feel like, I don't know, that watch could have been anything, you know, and she does it so quickly. I don't know. But
Yeah. I mean, that scene, obviously that interaction is more complicated and maybe not the best example of what we're talking about right now. But I think the main point with what we're talking about right now is that I think that this kind of initial political framing, that you could maybe project onto it, like, that view, but I don't think that that holds up super strongly as the film goes on. Like, it's revealed that it is much more complicated and much more individualized, like to each person, like all like the players involved in that situation. Yeah.
Just clarifying, his name is Amadou, or
It
maybe
looks like
Amadoua. I don't know. Worth
Amadou.
noting that we hear
Creature's Amadou.
worth noting he speaks perfect French.
Well, yeah, I mean,
'Cause I
people
speak
from
That's
African
racist.
countries
What
speak
you
French.
say you can't? What are you
True.
saying you can't?
No, I'm just saying, like, he doesn't come off in that first scene as like an immigrant, you know?
Yeah. Whereas like his dad has a super heavy accent,
Yeah.
but still speaks French.
But yeah, you're right, Jacob. What are we not here? Are we what? What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah. Are we not? We're
Okay.
not getting what
Well,
you're
just
saying.
to
or-
circle
Is
back.
this not being addressed? Also, my thoughts are of that my own and not my employer.
That is so true, Troy. Yeah, I don't know, like, I still think it's slanted, and that might not necessarily be at the detriment of the whole film, but like it's definitely not the initial encounter, right? I mean, I mean, maybe this isn't a controversial statement, but like it's just a trope, right? Of like he's trying to do something good, but then it goes a little wrong. And the police show up and automatically assume that he's the aggressor, and then he's like, "Oh, I'll come of my free will," and they're like, "Don't
he is
move,"
the aggressor.
and
But I
he's
feel like
moving, and it's just
I feel like you're thinking about how it might look to a broad audience and not what you think. Don't you think he was the aggressor? He took it too far. He got physical when it wasn't warranted.
I mean, sure, but I'm just saying, like the scene, like I'm just making a comment on the framing of the scene, you know, not on how like internally consistent the scene is, you know, or whether or not what happened might be justified. Or I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like it could have played out a different way, but it was chosen to play out in this specific way, which is also a trope, right? So that's not necessarily at the detriment of the message, like the overall film and what it's trying to accomplish with doing this sort of commentary. But that's what I was saying.
I'm just confused because it sounds like you're saying it's a trope, but you also think it's actually very different from the trope.
What? When did I say it's different from the trope?
Well, I'm saying, like, it seems like the trope is someone trying to do the right thing, right? Minority tries to do the right thing, and totally unjustly, right? Like cops come in and they're discriminated against, and like, you know, everything's against them. Whereas this situation is notably different in that the character seems to actually do the wrong thing. Like maybe has a good intention, but starts to behave in such a way that the police response is appropriate. Is that not? Do you agree with that characterization?
I wouldn't say I agree. Like I don't remember the specifics of the scene because he did. See, now we're just like he did get aggressive or whatever. What wasn't Brody also? Didn't Brody get physical at first as well?
What? Oh, that's that is actually so funny.
Oh, you're calling.
It does kind of look like Brody. No,
that's the first thing I.
No,
thought.
okay, right. Just to give a break. I mean, on some level, I think I don't know. I hope it's not futile to like get into such detail in the scene, but I feel like it kind of sets the state. Like this is like a large part of what the whole film is doing in all these different
this is my
scenarios.
favorite scene in the
Let's
movie,
not-
or maybe
so
my
good.
second favorite
Let's
scene.
not
But just
watch-
he throws garbage. We're not gonna watch it, but he throws garbage in the girl's lap, right?
Mhm.
He's not like hurting her or anything, but he's super disrespectful. Whatever. Throws some trash in her lap, and then Amadou kind of grabs him and is like, "Hey, you're gonna apologize." And he's like, and the other kid walks away. He grabs him again, starts pulling him back to the woman,
Mhm.
and multiple times the kid tries to leave, and Amadou gets physical with him, and then one of the times he gets physical with him and slaps him in the face, and then they start to actually get a little more physical.
Well, and he also tries to like run from the police, like.
Yeah, that's like an impulse I respect. Well, yeah, it's a weird thing too because he's like, no, I'll come, and they're like, well, you better start coming, and then they, I don't know, it is a weird thing.
I mean, that whole situation is super uncomfortable. Can I say
He
one
didn't
more
try to
thing?
run
Is
away.
that the
Yeah, he's not, I don't know, he's resisting at some point.
He was just resisting the
Definitely
guy
resist.
touching him
Yeah.
well?
because the officer was trying to grab him, which maybe says something about him because he was really liberal about, you know, grabbing Brody over here, but as soon as someone grabs him, it's a big no-no. So
Yeah, that's probably.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
yeah, all of a sudden it's this huge autonomy issue that the
Yeah.
police aren't respecting.
So yeah, he won't respect the autonomy of others, but it's a thing.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
sorry, John. You got it.
Well, I was gonna say the other thing that's interesting about him, like trying to make him apologize, is the woman seems almost like she wants nothing to do with it, you know?
Oh, yeah, well, she gets
like she just
deported.
sees this whole situation,
Yeah.
and then I mean, there's also, I mean, I think there's that as well as like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Amadou seems to be like thinking that he's like on her side or something.
Mhm. Yeah.
Even though, I mean, he ends up being the reason why she gets deported. But and also, yeah, I mean, she just seems to nothing to want to do with it in the first place. Like as he's yelling and screaming and trying to get him to apologize.
Yeah.
Um,
And we hear
Yeah,
we hear sorry.
Then they go and grab her, the police officer.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
rubs
yeah,
her
and
up.
Walks over.
it's Amadou's fault, you know. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
grabs her
in some
pulls
way.
her
I mean,
back.
not like he intended that at all, but yeah, that's just another layer. To
I mean,
it.
that's also
love-
kind of a, I guess I'll just use the word trope again, is like, this immigrant lady, she ends up getting deported, by some like random circumstance that was out of her control, where like, um, she's the victim of a completely meaningless and like small social social interaction, but she ends up being like this massive victim.
Yeah,
So,
I think of her entire arc as being extremely limbo-like. How I can imagine her, like she leaves. She's like when she gets deported. First off, she's begging initially, so we know things aren't going well for her. She gets deported. She's initially kind of happy because she gets this romantic nostalgia about the home and everything, and then she eventually gets like fed up with that sort of boredom or something, the monotony or like the nothingness associated with living in her like original hometown, and then so she decides to go along and get back over the border, where she just ends up being poor again. And so I think that it is cool to. So I agree that there's a lot of tropes going on, but I also think that Hanukkah's aware of them, and then they're subverted in like really important ways. But that the tropes, like he's conscious, and the tropes are there. But ultimately, I like just seeing it as like a clash of characters. You have, Amadou, who's like he's like existing within the modern structure, extremely resistant to the modern structure. I think the fact that he is fighting for his autonomy within it is really interesting. You have the the Brody, who's
His name's
super-
Gene, by the way. His name's Gene.
Oh,
Gene.
Gene.
and then you have is it just Jean or Jean?
Yeah,
Whatever.
I think it's
It's probably Jean or something.
Brody.
Whatever. You have
Sure.
him, and he is also resistant to modernity and wants some sort of autonomy in his life. They're just both going about it in a different way. One's, clearly, and also one's probably, one's younger too. I imagine, maybe not, but yeah. And then you have her who's in like this limbo state. I don't know. And then you have also remind me if I'm wrong, and like it'll be really cringe if I'm wrong, but Benoche's character, she is the girlfriend of the boy's brother. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the
Right.
photographer.
Right. The photographer. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a pretty good opening scene, and that there are a bunch of tropes at work, but that they're subverted in certain ways, and it's handled in such a way that it was enjoyable and didn't come across as like cringe tropey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think just one more thing about this scene, at least for me, and then Steve and I actually I agreed with all that except for I think Amadou is trying to integrate with modernity. And the only reason I think that is because, well, one, I don't know, like to take part in this, like, you can't do that, that's not okay, right? Is to like sort of, invest in this like culture or something. Although maybe it's also an in-group, out-group thing. Like he maybe identifies with the migrant woman, but also I don't know. His parents it's mentioned multiple times by his parents. They don't like that he's hanging out with white people and like dating white girls and like all that type of thing. So maybe I don't know. I'm just thinking that might be something.
Right.
And then just
I do.
Mhm. Well,
I just want to say
you got it.
autonomy being very different from racial identity.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that he's clinging to a racial identity as such, but is interested in his autonomy.
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, just to distinguish the two.
the point of what I was trying to say is that like the reason why I brought up like a quote unquote trope is because Hanukkah repeatedly,
You can't listen to him. He
pronounce.
doesn't know anything.
Well, like I'm just saying he like frequently like pronounces that films often do too much to manipulate the viewer, and he wants to make things more just kind of a deadpan like reflection of some sort of reality, and then let you on your own interpret it or whatever. And so I'm just saying that this scene is like like it's not. It would be incredibly easy to just do a like a more stale, like deadpan, what's the word? Representation of some sort of interaction like this, but like it is still like somewhat pointed, even if there are multiple points.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We're back in it. I don't know if it's like, I don't know, because I think the point, the anti-manipulation point is exactly right here in that if you were to present the trope in like a much more straightforward way, like, we've all seen, like, if the trope were presented in such a way so as to like just speak to a political narrative or something, that
I
would
think
be
the
more
scene is
manipulative.
perfectly ambiguous.
I think
it's perfectly ambiguous. I don't see the pointed nature you're talking about.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
maybe we should just move on because talking about this is going to necessitate bringing up certain examples and talk about other things, which we don't really want to do here. We want to talk about the film.
Yeah, I definitely disagree with that. That's what I'm saying earlier about, like, I don't know. I'm not to accuse you of cringe, but first degree cringe. But I feel like you're thinking about like the way looks.
No,
I mean, because
no. I think.
Well, I mean, but to invoke some kind of real life example would be to deny the reality of this situation.
Well,
it would be to say like, oh, well, this is just a movie,
listen,
and it's trying to have some effect, rather than like looking at the situation like that.
Right.
This is the example.
Listen, I was just saying something to move the conversation along. Those weren't necessarily words I'll stand by. I was just saying, if we're gonna talk about this more, we're gonna get more in depth, and then we might, start talking more specific, and it's gonna get us caught in the weeds. But I'm just saying that this isn't a neutral scene, is all I'm gonna say.
All right. What's next? The date? The father
we can
and
talk
son?
about the date.
These photographs? Ooh.
Oh,
I actually would like to say
about
something about the photographs.
Yeah, let's talk about the photographs.
Question that I'm sure could be answered if one of them is the answer, but my experience of watching it was either these aren't real photos, like these are photos taken for the film and thus not real, or I don't know if these are real photos or not. Which I think has a lot to do with the argument they have at that dinner between the photographer and the woman, where they talk about like the value of the non-transmittable message or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So while I agree with like my first viewing of the film, I looked it up afterwards, and these are real photos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I'm trying to remember because it might be that some of them, because I remember with the black and white photography of the people on the subway, I know that some of those are Hanukkah's and some of those are photos from a set, and I don't remember if this is the same way.
Okay.
If this is the same way, then more power to your point, but if not, then...
Well, I guess we could just
we're
probably
neglecting the elephant in the room here, which is that all war photography is fake.
Right.
Well, I think that's exactly what they're talking about. I mean, unless you're trying to make a more concrete point about it's all literally staged. I think
that was a throwaway.
I'm just kidding. They didn't sound like it though. Ugh.
That's
Anyway.
why I'm here.
I also, on my first viewing, I also was not sure if these were real or staged. If that helps you feel a little bit better, Troy.
Makes you feel a little. I thought I was onto something brilliant.
For instance, this guy right here, this photograph. Maybe I'm just
this
suffering facial blindness, but is this not a character in the movie?
No.
It's not. It looks kind of like
no.
Looks like the guy from Gangs of New York.
It looks
Can you proceed through the images? Can you play that scene out? I want to see the other images.
Yeah. There's a bunch of these. They're so good. There's one with the dog, and I remember thinking, "Oh, this is probably not real." Okay, so we're playing it double
dead
time.
dog with the woman crying.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. That's when I was like, "Oh, this is so weird." Brody, did you think the photos were real? Like, did you assume they were real? Okay.
Yes, I didn't even think to to think that they might have been fake or staged.
And are
Anyway,
these is Hanukkah trying to do the same thing that these photos try and do, or something like tell you something about the world, or are these like more like the trope of like, oh, feel bad for someone else, or right? Because the photographer seems to try and want to communicate reality or something. I don't know. I'm sure there's some kind of parallel between these photos and this film.
I didn't really get the photos at all, honestly.
Wait, hold on. I might have found what we're looking for.
Also, mixed
I
media.
think I agree.
Right? Yeah, there's
I agree
something.
with what you said, Troy.
Yeah, there's something there about like, because then you look at those photos and you say, oh, this is so sad. Like you look at this family, right? Like you look at some. Oh no, not that one. Like this one, right? Some family split apart, right? And like presumably there's a story behind it, like a true one. But I don't know. Coming sort of off the back of like the first sequence with the not sequence first shot. I mean, obviously each section is a single shot with the exception of the photography. But like, what can you really take away from this photo given you know nothing about this, right? Or like, I don't know, you know? Is it?
Yeah. Well.
Does that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm certainly
yeah.
not. I'm not even like emotionally attached to any of those pictures. Like when I see like the gratuity, I don't feel very attached. That's not to say that's his point, but I mean that's just how it's.
Well, no. I mean, I think it is the point because later you have the second set of photos, the black and white ones, which are in total contrast to these, where like the black and white ones are like very simple, like everyday people, you know what I mean? And these are like grotesque, like almost like pornographic, like in how extreme they are, you know? And I think that there is some kind of, I mean, I'm trying to remember what the monologue is in like the letter over the second one,
second
but
series?
in the second series, but basically the yeah, I mean, I think he's making some kind of point in like contrasting this kind of grotesque like thing that's trying to get a reaction out of you, and I think and then this other thing that's much quieter and distant, which I think is very much in line with like what Hanukkah does. I want to talk about Funny Games. I don't know how many people have seen it, but like but basically I won't explain Funny Games, but basically I mean he has the use of like violent things in his films to like get a reaction out of you, and then he has like that whole thing about like raping the audience into autonomy, you know? And like I think that these photos are very much like a part of that whole idea of like the artist who takes these like pornographic like photos of violence, and then the photographer who takes like these almost like more human photos of people in the subway or whatever, something like that doesn't beg your attention the same way that these violent ones do.
Yeah. Or yes. Or I mean, I hadn't thought about that. For some reason, I had been thinking about Funny Games and just how much I love it. But yeah, there does seem to be a switch from like, I don't know, you know, the Chad Hollywood to the based Hanukkah contrast. If you'd like, I can read what the second letter says. Or maybe it's not so relevant. Or he tells the story. Yeah, he tells the story of how he had been taken by Taliban fighters and was being held somewhere. And the first Taliban member...
What can I do for you?
Huh?
What can I do for you?
Yeah, the first Taliban member keeps implying he's about to kill him. And then a new one comes and just keeps saying, you know, what can I do for you? And it takes a while before the photographer realizes that's the only thing he knows in English.
I think there, I don't know, could be a cringe read, but you think about modernity and you think about the extreme interest of people to enter a modern society. For instance, where's she from? Where's the immigrant lady from?
Kosovo, yeah.
The lady from Kosovo, like, there is some sort of like, you know, dream obviously associated with entering some sort of like, Paris, the city, something like that. Just like the boy Gene, aka Brody, wants to, enter into some sort of like something like, what does modernity have to offer you? And there is something kind of funny behind it, because there is this like dialogue that wishful people have, like, what will it do for you? similar to this like Taliban person who will say it, but then you realize that it's basically like empty words or something like that, or that the dream itself is relatively empty because there is no like, I don't know, better life. At least, it just comes along with its own complexities or something like that. Some sort of like downplaying of modernity's goodness. That's a classic Hanukkah. But yeah, I don't know. That's just a thought I had.
That
Anybody
is- I mean,
sympathize with that view or no?
I-
Disagree?
I think it's definitely interesting. I definitely like the, like, I think it's what you're saying about, like the woman from Serbia trying to sort of like, right, like, yeah, well, she goes back home and it's such a good situation. And I really liked it. It made me feel really good. Like, oh, she's back home.
Yeah,
She's got a
so
family. She's got
cozy.
stuff. Right. And Paris, she's like just a beggar. And at home, she's the grandmother of a big family. And all these, moves are happening with the marriage. Anyway, and then she goes back because allegedly it's such a good opportunity, right? Like she wants to go and try and, gain resources from modernity, and presumably take them back home, and but it seemingly can't be done, and she's faced with just like further humiliation, which she's all too aware of, as we learned from like her conversation with that woman in the hallway, where she talks about how someone looked at her as if she were disgusting filth, right?
Right,
And
right.
didn't want to touch her.
And then she lies. She lies to the people back home
Yeah,
about what her occupation was.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but
Which is funny because it's like
Mhm.
she's keeping the myth alive by doing that too. The
Yeah.
dream, and the associated like fantasy of what modernity can offer.
Yeah.
It's
also,
it's like a lie. It's empty words, similar to what this Taliban soldier says. They're just words. I
uh-huh.
don't know.
I'm gonna keep thinking about the
Yeah.
Taliban thing. I suspect it might even
Okay.
be more interesting than like you're saying it is. I don't know. There's something I had thought about that.
Go for it.
But it is a super interesting thing. There's something there. I don't know. I'll have to. I'm probably gonna sit and think about it. Maybe I'll come up with something. Well.
Sorry. What?
Now
Just
that-
you just start. Sorry. Go for it.
Okay, are we gonna continue as is, or are we gonna wait? We're gonna.
Oh.
All right. Well,
I
now it's
see.
too late. We're waiting, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or we can just
All right,
chat.
well, then
when
I'm-
he
then
gets
I'm
back.
paying.
Alright, so
Oh, okay.
so Troy, I have to say, you talk such big game about avoiding political issues, over fear of being controversial or something. But you just like blatantly keep calling Kosovo Serbia, and that's gonna really
Really?
make our Kosovoan listeners angry,
Okay.
considering all the conflict to establish Kosovo as an independent state. So I think you.
Oh,
I think
Kosovo
you better,
is an independent state.
Yeah, I think you better tone down on that rhetoric
All right. I
that
think I will.
Kosovo is Serbia, because it's really gonna piss some people off.
All right. I.
And
Apart
what
from
I just said was actually also a comment on the film. If you are 300 IQ,
They're both back.
you
Alright,
can't
100 IQ.
avoid being, you can't avoid confronting these issues.
All right, ready?
Yeah. Where we at?
We're in silence.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, we weren't.
No, just. Yeah, I think there's something there for sure, Stephen. I'll have to, I don't know, think about it. Does someone else have any thoughts about the Taliban situation? The audience can't hear you nod, Brody.
Okay. The answer is no. I'm just trying to think of what our next jumping off point could be. Like,
Well, can we continue talking about the photographer's character and like, I mean, I don't know. We can talk about like his like relationship with Anna or Juliette Binoche's character, and kind of his like, I don't know. I like their relationship. Like I like this whole situation of like he's often making art, like and like doing something important, and then I like the like stress that puts on their relationship and the like contentions that they have. Like the grocery scene in particular is one of my favorites in the film.
An interesting. This is tied to it. I'm sorry, I'm going to not talk about the grocery scene, but
Okay, that's
their relationship. There is something interesting about the whole, as Troy and John were saying earlier about how the first photographs. This is mostly, I think, John's point, but that the first photographs don't really evoke much emotion or something, or much attachment. You don't feel very immersed in them. The war photos, and yet there is obviously some sort of, as John said, like some sort of like righteousness associated with his pursuit of art, right? And the way he's doing it, he's going to go capture the raw, realistic. He's going to capture the war. She, on the other hand, is an artist in the sense that she's a performer and an actress, and she stars in a thriller, And for a while, we see her recording and trying out for parts associated with the thriller, and rehearsal associated with the thriller. And those moments were extremely evocative. Those were like,
so intense.
Oh my god! So, sometimes I forgot. It was one of those classic moments, where like the acting is so good and so intensive that you forget, that they're actually, that this is even an act, or that they're and it's funny because they're acting within the film, so it's like a double. It just seems to the point, and it kind of follows this same sort of juxtaposition that we've laid out between the photographer, his photos, and cinema, American, for instance, cinema, but cinema in general and their use of manipulation, things like that, compared to Binoche's character, her art, and, the blurred lines of reality, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, okay, just to bolster that point, both times that filming takes place within the film, we are not, like, there are moments where we aren't sure what is real and what is acting. So, like, in this case, right, it's on this sort of camcorder or digital style.
This is the first scene.
Yeah, we're talking about the first scene where she is, like, auditioning for the thriller. What is this called again? This format where it's lines, it's horizontal lines. You know what I'm talking about?
It's just early digital standard definition.
It's old.
Crusty. Anyway, so
bad.
I
mean, it brings attention to itself that it's a recording.
Well, no, it's
the
main
and that's
deal.
so incredible.
But there's and there's specifically this moment where he asks, right? We understand it's being an audition, right? He says, "Do you want me to read the line?" She says, "Yes, please." He says, "Okay." He gives her direction. He says, "Go and check the door." Okay. So shall I read his part? Yes, please. Go and check the door that it's locked. Blah blah blah. But there's this like really key moment. He says, "You think you hear the door lock? You go to make sure." Right? Clearly direction to the actor. And then it says, "The door is indeed locked. It's bolted. You'll never get out of here." And then she responds to that comment. And it's super unclear the transition from direction towards lines.
Dude,
right?
It reminds
me. And for a quick moment, you think
sorry.
that he's actually telling her this, and that's that moment in that case. And then in the second one, when they're actually filming the thriller, I almost was I for some reason it didn't stand out to me the first time I saw it, but I was startled by this when it happened the second time, right? Because we open up with the filming, right there we see we see the film crew recording them actually acting out the scene that she previously was auditioning for, and as they reach the end of the scene, it's revealed that we no longer see our view has become that of the camera that was being filmed in the beginning part of the scene, So there's this weird blending of reality and fiction, right? Like you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
In terms of what literally happens. Yeah. So that is like, I was so startled by that moment when she looks right into the camera and then it cuts, right? And says, she can't look straight into the camera. And I was like,
yeah.
Crazy.
I think I mean, oh man, I just want to keep talking about funny games, but I can't. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. But yeah, the
what a good use of time.
I love this convincing. I love this like convincing of the audience something like gripping the audience with something that they already know is not real. As they're watching it. An example, what I immediately thought of just barely when you're describing the auditioning scene was the casting scene in Mulholland Drive. is what I always think about when
Yep.
there's something like that. But yeah, totally. I mean, different in some key ways, but like very much similar. This like this place where you don't actually know where reality ends and the casting scene begins.
Well, if you recall
Quote,
from this
reality.
film, I actually found this out on Reddit/r/movie details. The name of the
That's my favorite
thriller,
sub.
the name of the thriller that she's in this movie is called Club Silencio. So kind of a cool little a cool
Dude,
allusion,
a cool homage.
a cool homage to
Just
Omelet.
just
cool
to
omelet.
just to clarify.
Just
so
so on the
when
nose.
she was in that like locked room in the first scene that you see her actually acting,
yeah.
like you didn't think for like, or did anybody else think for a brief moment that like, wait, is she actually like trapped? Is there something going on?
Yeah,
Yes, exactly. That's what we're saying.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
that's the whole
Okay,
point.
great.
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
making
the
sure.
whole-
I'm just making sure that I'm reading the room correctly here.
Well, yeah, but not only that, not only is there some blending of fiction and reality, but like it is, in my mind, strongly explained that this is an audition. And then still you forget because the performance is so impactful. And there's also that dialogue blend that takes place that I think is intentionally there to confuse you. And then just the third place where there's fiction is where we see an entire movie scene, right? Where she's acting with that
dude.
guy. And
So crazy.
so crazy,
yeah,
such a
that
good
was
scene because
crazy.
it's so gripping and it's so good with the child and it's gonna fall off the balcony, whatever. And then they have the voiceover. So you're only told afterwards it's voiceover. And I want to mention that I think you're wrong, John. I actually don't like their relationship. I like it in the beginning when I like both of them and they're cute.
No, I'm saying I like it as in it's interesting.
Okay, yeah, it's super interesting. The grocery scene is super interesting, and I don't actually like the characters that much. I like him much more than I like her. And then she totally betrays him by being all flirty with some, Fabio character that they're doing voiceovers with. And you know what? Anyway, that's all I got.
The dinner scene had a lot of information about their relationship as well.
Okay.
Was the pool scene, was that a reference to something that I missed? Because when the child was hanging off the ledge and they go save the child, and then she's like, "Why'd you do that?" And he like points at a balloon, and he's like, "Ballon." I swear I've seen that exact same thing in something else, and I don't know. This is more just of like I don't know if that's a reference to something or a commentary on something else, but I just think that I've seen that.
Well,
I have no idea, but the classic cringe take coming in first. I do before I say the cringe take. I want to say just double down the scene where they're doing voiceover for the pool scene.
So cozy.
It's so crazy because at first you don't even know they're like flirting, or you see them flirting. You're like, oh no, like I guess that other relationship's fizzling or whatever happened there, and then you're like, oh okay, it's just voiceover. I mean, like it was just for work, it was just a scene, and she's a great actress. And then she starts flirting, and you're like, oh my god, what? No, it's actually real. Like there actually is some sort of flirtation.
Yeah.
And so there's just
I've got to reveal. I was totally fooled by this one. I thought that guy was the photographer when they were in the pool.
In the pool.
That's funny.
So, and then when it was revealed to be a scene, I was like double fooled.
Yeah, I actually the first time I watched the film, I was confused because I was like, I thought it was the photographer as well, and then I couldn't tell for a minute, and then I just thought he looked weird for some reason, and then it got me really good because I thought the whole scene was real as well the first time I watched it. But
No,
can I say that
I was just
and
saying
it was real the whole time.
I was like, in a sense, I was like triple fooled because I thought that she was like rehearsing for the scene. You know what I mean? And I didn't quite get the voiceover part. I thought that they were like doing like a commentary on like the actual scene, but that earlier the thing was real. I was so lost, I'll admit it.
All right, who is the most fooled?
Look, I know John's dying to say something, but I really want to just say the cringe obvious take that I said that I was going to say in relation to the balloon. Okay, can we all just say the balloon is modernity? Can we all just say that it's obviously the same thing about the what can I do for you? It's obviously the immigrant lady trying to get over the border. There's obviously some sort of like wish associated with the balloon and the thing that kills you. Yeah.
What can I do for you? Balloon?
Balloon.
Can we just all agree that the penis-shaped laconic balloon
Amadou balloon.
do for you?
The balloon is clearly a penis.
All right.
Okay, wait. Can I say that I want to say that
Yeah.
the scene. One thing that I love about the whole pool scene is that there's like a few very dramatic like visual things that happen, and I like that it's kind of like Hanukkah saying, in some way I took it as Hanukkah saying, something like I could be telling the story this way, but I'm not, or something like that. Like, this is what I could be doing to you. Like, I could be manipulating you.
Yeah,
this
so
much.
true.
And then, but like he's not. I mean, and then you have the whole film is clearly so reserved and so like distant comparatively to like this like thing that he just gets you invested in instantly and makes you feel bad and scared and blah blah blah.
So true. Never creating artificial suspense out of some type of potentially truly tragic event, maybe like this kid falling off. Oh, is the kid gonna fall off?
Oh my god, that was so crazy.
Yeah.
I was so worried though.
Yeah, I was so
he
scared.
did it so well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the zoom on the ground, it goes to the kid's face,
Yes,
and then the zoom on the
yes.
ground, and then he falls. I mean, it's so crazy, like it so intense.
Super manipulated. Worth noting also, just to contrast that scene, is I'm fairly confident that the entire film, like, I don't think there's any zooms. I don't think there's any shallow focus. I think it's pretty much the whole thing is deep focus, with the exception of like a couple scenes wherein it's not exactly like wide open, like the scene where the guy picks up the woman from Kosovo. By the way, I think I've been saying Serbia, should be saying Kosovo, something like that. I might be wrong. Anyway, that's like a shallow depth of field, but it's not that. Anyway, just to back up the fact that not only are they different in strategy, but like just the literal photography is like drastically different.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's like a bunch of cuts. There's like a bunch of cuts in that scene, and in the film, right, every section is separated by black and white, and it's just single takes, with the exception of the photography.
Well, and also the fact that every actor is deaf in this entire film. It's like that's impressive.
They're all deaf.
Deaf kids.
It's really
We're all deaf
a
children.
testament. Every child in this film is actually deaf.
Do the deaf kids live in modernity if they can't really hear it?
No, they live in.
Seriously though.
I have a bombshell report. I have breaking news.
Breaking news.
There's another layer to the extent of us being fooled, right? There's another layer to it. The war photography and the photographer, that stuff is all related to Kosovo, and they talk about it when talking about his photography. But the immigrant woman is Romanian, so she goes back to Romania.
Oh,
okay.
And yeah.
Yeah, I did equate them in terms of scenery. I was like, in my head, I was like, oh well, he went to the conflict that ruined her home, and she's living in this ramshackle home. Yeah, so I guess
she lives in a nice home. It's nearly finished. That's a great house, dude. I love that house. They have a couch.
I mean,
they have a couch.
They have a couch,
dude.
They drink and party at night,
dude. Awesome.
What more could you want?
And also, sorry.
What more could you want? What can I do for you? Sorry.
Well, can I say that now that you brought up the house, the first time I viewed that, I didn't really know like what to think of it or whatever. I was mostly just like, oh, cozy family, like I liked that. And then the second time I viewed it, I was kind of paying more attention to her, and she seems to be happy in a lot of ways, but I don't know, she's like distant or something. And I think that like the world as it could be or something like that, like where she's seen it in like France and stuff has made it so it's like, what is a nice house there, which is not a very nice house, you know? Like, I mean, there's like I don't know. I mean, it's all run down and torn apart and blah, blah, blah. And like them having a couch is like a great thing, you know? I mean, I think that the whole situation makes her sad, whereas like everyone else, it makes them like happy. And then there's like this expression made by like, or there's this little like moment where they talk about the girl who has dreams of grandeur, you know, like her granddaughter, I think it is, and like that they would have multiple pieces of furniture and like I don't know, I think it's all
the armrests. They would have the armrests over the armchairs. Yeah,
and I think that this whole situation just builds up like her eventual decision to go back to Europe.
So to further your point, the girl who says like, "Oh, I want armchairs," she is the girl who's getting married, and it's briefly discussed after the armchair comment that the family that she's getting married into has a nicer home. So now she's seen nicer. So it's exactly like you're saying, and it also mirrors Jean/Brody and the father saying like, "Oh, he's dissatisfied with the house. It's not good enough for the prince." Or whatever he says, you know. But, you know, obviously the father is trying to escape modernity and all this type of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Noteworthy comment on modernity. The photographer at the dinner scene. I was just watching it again because I was looking for something specific. But, you know, he makes a comment about how, you know, life in the war zone, wherever he's taking those pictures, it's simple there. And he had, you know, somebody at the dinner table asked him, he says, you know, how is it to come back to civilization? And he says, well, it's simple there, and everything here is much harder. Which is kind of a strange thing to say, but definitely relevant to.
Yeah, I mean, life does seem simpler over there for like the woman, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, like you go over there and I think that it's yeah, I mean they're like contrasting views. Like he wants to like live a simpler life, you know, where all he does is like take photos and live with like these people and not deal with modernity, and she like wants to reap but he's already been blessed with like the rewards of being born into like a higher class or whatever in modernity, and she has not, and so like he's like able to reminisce about the simplicity of life, whereas all she sees is this thing that she doesn't have that she wants to give to her family or like support her family. And I think that there's she's like in the car with that guy in Kosovo, and he talks about how his like sister or wife or something is in Europe and sending money back and making good money or something like that. And yeah, I mean that also goes to kind of her dream to get money.
Hey, Troy, your audio is suddenly picking up.
You can hear this.
Yeah, it doesn't. I told you. It's all getting renovated. It's not gonna. I can fix it in our call, but the audio that's going to the worldwide audience is gonna be.
It's the bathroom renovation, right?
Yeah, I'm getting the double tub put in. It's gonna be 600 gallons. Can you believe it?
Oh my gosh! I can barely drink one.
To sort of boost that point a little bit, let's see here. Yeah, like so I was saying in the beginning is like I'm sort of signed on to that comment, or at least within the film for sure. The non-modern places seem simpler. Even the artificially modern places, like the one created by the father-son, where it's about taking care of the bowls and harvesting crops and things like this, as opposed to like the highly sophisticated work done by Anne or done by the photographer who discusses the ecology of the image, right? Like this is sort of highfalutin, sophisticated work, but I suppose like. One like idea would be like, well, is simpler better or something like this? And maybe unless someone wants to stick with this particular idea, I feel like that discussion of sophistication versus something more simple, and like is one really more pleasant than the other, something like this, I think bears some relationship to the scene where the father of Amadou, who taxi driver in the streets, wise prophet in the sheets, right? Like he's this like really important figure in the home, and his wife, although we don't know it at the time, is discussing with him, right? This sequence, I mean, is anyone seeing kind of similarities here? Because like basically,
yeah, totally.
right? She's like
her,
super
like, crazy beliefs, like about.
Yeah, she's
right?
like super distraught about the situation and about the bad things happening in their family, whether it be
like a curse.
Yeah, the issue with Amadou, or the sort of drug dealing fiasco at school with Philippe, or whatever the kid's name is, Jean-Pierre maybe. But yeah, at the same time, like she attributes these things to spirits and ghosts and sort of not exactly like modern ideology.
So wait, so you think that there is a bit more like ambiguousness about like if modernity is actually something that is worth chasing after?
I think of the photographer as sort of like the young naive artist who is definitely onto something, but thinks what he's onto is something different than what he really is, and he has this sort of righteousness about him, like you guys were talking about earlier. And so like I think what he fails to realize, like I think like his first level analysis is like it's only complicated, like the sophistication and complexity of life mainly exists in modernity, and elsewhere it's simpler. And like what he is implying but failing to realize is not the case, is that that sophistication is not synonymous with like unhappiness or something like this.
Okay.
Like that sophistication is like
so you
I don't know. Like
do you think there's somewhere in the film that like recognizes that? Because like from what I could see or from what I can remember, those who are completely disconnected from modernity are displayed as a bit more happy. For example, like all the people drinking.
Yeah, but their material conditions are obviously not great.
Well, but
I mean,
but they're still acting and being displayed as like much happier and in a better place than anybody in.
Well,
I'm not so sure. I feel like the only case in which that is, I think the only example you would have is like the, oh gosh, what are they, Serbian?
Which ones?
What did we learn?
Which
the
people?
I think the
Algerian, Serbian,
Argentinian?
Romanian.
Okay.
Like the Romanian people, right, are allegedly happy, but we also see them terribly unhappy due to their like constant draw towards modernity. And it's not something. Well, it's inescapable.
Okay, because that was sort of my point. Is like all the people who aren't in modernity and have completely separated themselves from it. You know, there's some sort of like happiness associated with them.
Father.
Like, well, the father, the reason like what made him so miserable is because his son was so attracted to the modernity in the same sense that the beggar woman was. And like had they been completely disconnected, then
Yeah, I don't know. The fact that they only ate beets and that's all he had to offer him kind of made me think that he's not just dissatisfied with the son's pull to modernity. There is some sort of understanding on his part that what he's chosen, what his life is and stuff, it's not enough for the son.
Okay,
But I think
that makes sense.
But that is the case because modernity, right? Like he talks about how like this is a dying way of life. Like you can't there's no future here, is what he says. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it's true because his son leaves, but also maybe I just think modernity.
Yeah, I think that's sort of modernity's fault, but it's also it doesn't have to be. I mean, you can imagine a failing farm being unable to feed the children in like any point in time. I think that his failure is less the fault of modernity. The son's pull to modernity is that modernity says like what's the statement? What's the Taliban soldier? What's the statement?
How can I help you?
What can I do
How,
for you?
yeah, what can I do for you? Right. So the son obviously is pulled to modernity, given that same line, but that his dissatisfaction with his state of life is not because of modernity. I mean, I think that the dissatisfaction, because he's not depicted. I think you could say for the Romanian people that their dissatisfaction is because of modernity, because they opt to leave their place and go over there and stuff, whereas they could have chosen just to drink and be jolly in their home and stuff like that. But the son is never shown, like, there's no jolly option in the home. The father's failing to provide like the basic, decent meals and things like that. And if you want to say like this, the super structure, the economic structure of modernity has made the farm a bad way of life, and so he can't provide a good food, then that's perhaps the case. But I don't think that's the modernity that Hanukkah's attacking here.
Yeah,
it's much more
yeah.
this social impulse to move towards something on like a dream or something like that he's attacking.
I think there's also just worth noting like something about the migrant group, that like the opportunities presented by modernity, like financial opportunities, are like compulsively too good to ignore given their material circumstance or something like. But
True,
yeah.
although she has gone there, realized it's fake, leaves, and goes back only to be in it again. So her reason for going isn't even the monetary reason.
Well, she gets there and then finds out at that drinking
With the
party
green card.
that the yellow card that she thought she was going to get when she gets there is no longer available. And so she is now doomed once again to a beggar life.
Oh, wait, what? No, say that again, sorry.
Well, so when she arrives, right, there's like that, remember when she like cries to the woman?
Right.
Right, so that occurs in France, and she starts to cry because they're discussing while they're drinking. She learns that, woman A, who told her she was going to sell her yellow card, enabling her to have an actual job, actually sold it to someone else. And so now she's in France without the ability to work like she thought she was going to have. So
Right.
It seems like, I'm just saying it's worth noting that she thought she was going to get something else.
Doesn't she engage in that twice though?
I don't know. I don't know if we know the story the first time.
We don't
around.
know this first circumstances, but I think Steven's point still stands, because it's like, I mean, look at the situation she's in when she's in that place in France with like all those people. I mean, it's like super rundown, like dingy. There's like 8 of them living in this tiny space or whatever, or just gathered in this tiny space. I don't know if they're living there, but I think the point being that she must recognize that it is not like you walk into France and there's jobs everywhere. That like that what she's drawn to France for is the monetary thing, but that this dream is still not guaranteed, and that it just might be guaranteed with this whole yellow card situation. Blah blah blah. I mean, but I still think that the draw towards France into modernity or whatever is still. I mean, it's still like takes place in the realm of like ideas and emotion, and not like the material conditions.
not actually the promise of like fiscal gain. I don't think that's really what's compelling her, because I think that her dissatisfaction with home. I was also reading it the whole time. I'm also confused. She's so old. You would think you would just succumb to this like matriarchal lifestyle where you like care for the home and the children and do this, but no. Instead, she's adopting this kind of like childlike naivety about getting to France, and like maybe she wants to provide for the family, but it seems like the family's actually relatively content with what they have there. So it doesn't seem like there's actually much of a social compulsion to go there, or a social thing compelling her to do it. But rather just like this very, psychic nature of like what her fantasy about the place is, and about like probably just her own personal dissatisfaction with, her circumstance or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, there is something individualized about her situation, which I think, like, she talks about her experience of shame, like that story.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think that's probably something important in terms of, why she's come back, or like, also could probably be framed as like at home she exists in that state, right? She's not in France, but like they're in this like super low quality material living, and comparatively, like there's something about like modernity like forces itself upon these people as a frame of reference to which they compare their lives or something.
Right. But not all of them.
Not all
For her. It did for her,
her.
but not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Could we move on to? I have an idea for a larger topic that I just thought of just now.
Like how big?
How big?
I was just thinking kind of nothing super specific about like the different kind of the different characters of like men, you know, and like how men are portrayed in this film in each situation. Like you have
Super
the father.
sexualized.
Yeah, you have the father on the farm, and then which I don't know. I do want to talk more particularly about him in a few scenes, like this motorcycle one Troy's got playing. But
Dude, this smile he's got. Oh,
yeah, so sad. But yeah, the father, and then the artist George, and then also the guy on the subway that stands up for Juliette Binoche's character Anna when the kid spits on her. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the guy who's sitting next to her, he like takes off his glasses,
Yeah.
stands up. I don't know. I love that scene, and I love that guy so much.
Yeah, that was one of my
Like,
favorite scenes in the movie.
I don't know.
He also is multi-ethnic, and I
Yeah.
actually think it is worth noting.
yeah, super.
Yeah,
worth noting.
definitely.
He stands up for her.
But yeah, I mean, I like this like kind of common man, like everyday, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Power.
It was very It was. I don't know. I thought it was pretty moving. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if there's anything to talk about like men portrayed besides like specific ones, you know.
I'm not getting a huge. I don't have any gendered thoughts.
Okay. I don't have any gender.
All my
not
thoughts-
not a single one.
I
All my
have
thoughts
no
are
gender
gendered,
thoughts.
but I don't have any like gender specific thoughts about them.
Okay, let's talk about the dad then.
Yeah, the dad obviously looks like Savoy Zizek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was planning on saying that at some point.
As was I.
Okay.
Oh,
As
man.
was I.
No, that's it. It's not a chill out. I was just saying that we're on the same wavelength. There.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not. This isn't.
Look, Brody, I'm sorry, man. I'll get back to you, dude. I really shouldn't have done
Dude,
that.
I'm about to fucking leave, dude. This
No,
one's
I'm
not
There-
sorry.
there's
I
a
was just
bunch of
doubling down
stuff.
on it, making it more ridiculous.
There is a bunch of stuff. I don't know. It kills the cows.
The cows scene.
Kills the bulls.
Yeah, I love how the killing of the bulls or the cows is like you hear the sound before
Yeah,
you see
gunshot.
anything, you just hear the
Gunshot.
like, air. It's not a gunshot.
It is a
it's an
gunshot.
air thing.
No.
No, have you
Like in
not
Ben's
seen?
video, is it
This
not?
is a device that features heavily in another Hanukkah film that I
Yeah,
won't
I know.
name. Yeah,
Yeah, I
no,
know.
but it's loaded with a round, a blank, with no. It has no lead on the projectile, but it's the part of the bullet. I'm like
Okay,
stupid,
I had no idea how the thing worked. Either way,
whatever.
but you hear the sound of the device,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
then the thud, and you don't know what's going on, and then it's revealed that. I mean, I like that the killing of the cows is not shown. You just get this insane shot where he walks past
Yeah, that was really
so
good.
many of them.
Really good.
It's so sad.
Yeah, and like, why does he? And I mean, I don't know why he does it exactly. Like some type of self-destructive behavior. Like, oh, my son's gone. My dynasty is over. This is a dying way of life. I better just end it. Oh, I'm so frustrated. But I don't know. We should talk maybe more about that. But I just want to add that I love this beautiful shot of the father plowing the fields. He is back on the horse again. He is working. We don't have to worry about him.
It was a very beautiful shot. I was taken aback at this one. It's quite. I also like the. It's earlier on in the movie, the dinner scene, the first dinner scene with the son. I thought that was pretty.
The beets,
beautiful.
where he gives him the beets.
With the beets?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, imagine
that
just
was
eating
so
straight
dope.
beets.
Beets and bread. God damn, that
Yeah.
bread looked good on that table.
Yeah, the bread looks good. Just beets. Oh, so sad. What do we got? I actually don't Everyone wants to talk about different things. Oh, we have another acting thing. She acts. I kind of want to talk about the subway scene. I feel like this is a fruitful.
With the one with Anna, right?
Yeah. Subway,
Yeah.
yeah. There's multiple. The subway scene with Anna. This is the ultimate Rorschach test.
What about where the wait, time out. What about the other subway scene where the photographer is sitting down, and then
such a
the
fun
obviously
scene.
attractive, though we only get like the profile glimpses of the lady, but the obviously attractive like young woman sits across from him,
Mm-hmm.
and you have this long scene where he's like kind of looking at her but looking away, looking at her, looking
Oh
away.
yeah.
You know, trying not to like just you know,
Yeah.
essentially trying not to like stare because you know it's gonna be a trip, and I don't know, just the obvious comparison with Binoche's character who, you know, ends up pursuing another guy. So there's something like kind of sad about the photographer in this case, as in a tragedy associated with him.
Yeah, there is something that needs to be more fleshed out about this photographer because, like, he is right. Like he, well,
I'm just kidding.
is he? I don't know. Well, no,
I don't
in
know,
a
I'm
way,
kidding.
no, in a way,
Yeah.
he sort of fancies him. I mean, it might be something like that because the photographer is like right trying to project, you know, the 3-dimensional reality into this 2D image and like present it as reality, right? And he gets called out at the table for like, what's the point of taking the photos if you can't actually communicate with them? And he says, I know. And then I forget exactly what he says when he's looking at later when he talks about the ecology of the image and basically how like he says like I don't know how to speak about the value of the uncommunicated message.
Mhm.
But and then he doesn't really say or something like this, and I feel like he's trying to say like the sense I'm getting is like I should try or something. But like he's also doing this thing where he's like based on his views of like modernity as sophisticated and non-modernity as simple and like kind of this view of like good and bad or whatever. Like he is projecting a modern psychology or something onto these like non-modern places and things and like yeah, which I don't know. There's something
Maybe
you know what I'm
not.
saying?
Maybe not modern. Maybe not modern. I mean, maybe it's as simple as just saying the artist. Like it is very. He has a very artistic lens to things.
Mhm.
And tries to value that as highly as possible. But it seems to. I mean, I think at the end the reading is that things fall kind of short. There's something very sad about that. But yeah, I don't
I
know.
mean,
I don't know.
I'm saying
obviously,
but the transition to the subway photos is a transition towards a material that is understandable and like emotionally real and you know something like this, you know.
Mhm.
obviously this is sort of like a completion of the dialogue, right? Is the photographer character, he goes to these third world, quote unquote, non-modern countries, and takes photographs and brings them back, whereas the people from these countries, they're looking to come in and pursue dreams or like acquire experiences and you know, maybe take something back home to their families, whether monetary or promises of success or something. So like it's just like a completion of the dialogue between the two, the modern and the non-modern society. The non-modern is looking to extract resources
Mhm.
and experiences from the modern society, and the modern society is looking to do the same with the non-modern one, but it's one is like commodified and one is you know, something else.
Abstract,
romanticized.
made as romantically abstract, something like that. Yeah.
Subway scene.
The other one,
Yeah, a little class warfare on the subway.
yeah.
Worth noting that yeah, I think if super I don't know. Do we have more thoughts on I don't mean to switch it up.
The only other thought I have is that okay, we all agree that this lady is attractive, right? Even
Yeah,
though
at
we
first-
never,
Sitting
we
across from?
basically never see her face. We see like a corner shot of her chin and like dimple, like a slight profile, but we basically never get to see. There, you get that, and then I think at the very beginning you get a little bit too when she's standing.
Yeah, I think
You
when
never
she
get a good
leaves, you
look.
see. Oh, what he? Oh no.
Yeah, he leaves.
Oh, the one oh I thought you were talking about this. Yeah.
Not the older lady, the one that
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
to sit in front of him after. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking if she was the girl from Piano Teacher or
Woo.
something. Could be.
Oh,
No,
yeah, it looks like
but-
her. Oh, you go ahead.
No, this lady's certainly younger. This lady is
Yeah.
like
It's definitely
maybe
not.
maybe late 20s or something like that.
Boom.
It's funny.
Ooh.
It's
There
funny
you go.
too that the so he's wearing the camera around his neck, and the camera is pointed right at her. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so there's something going on there with his camera being on her, but us
Right.
not seeing her.
Right,
Mm.
and he doesn't want to see her either. Like he keeps trying to avert his gaze all the time.
Yeah.
If you watch, like, yeah, totally. And if you see the scenes like prior to this, like he's adjusting it so that it's centered perfectly over his chest. When he's in the mirror, he does something like that. Like he's adjusting with the strap, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about that.
Like
Um,
he's
yeah.
like a what do you call, like, I don't know, like a receptacle. Like it's weird because when his camera, it's a tool for him. You know, he points it at these things. Like he takes all these pictures of these war-torn countries and these atrocities.
Right.
Yet now his camera is pointed at something beautiful, but he's not
It's
taking
right
the
in
picture.
front of him. Right. The classic.
Wait, what do you mean he's not
It's right in
taking the
front of you.
picture?
He took the picture.
He
takes-
takes the
did he?
picture, you can
Sorry.
hear it.
What?
Yeah,
that's
it's
the- that's the
very
whole point
it's
of the
quiet.
scene.
You can hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember him taking the picture.
Yeah, you
He
can
takes
you
it.
can hear
It's
it
because
when
he did
the
a
door
really good job
closes.
hiding it, so you
Yeah.
can't see.
Yeah, you've been.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually get this whole like beautiful woman angle when watching it. But if to adopt it, I like the ambiguity of what it is he's doing and what he's not trying to focus on, because what he is doing is trying to take a photo and hide it.
Well, I think she's for sure beautiful, and that he does want to capture her beauty, but he wants to do it
yeah.
discreetly, right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and there's also, I wanted to say that there's something interesting going on by never giving us a clear view of her face. This is as clear as we get, this profile shot.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something I don't know. Does anybody else, like, it seems like, I think Ellsworth agrees, like there really is like something interesting about how she's being obfuscated. He's intentionally obfuscating his view of her, and he lets the camera. Apparently, the camera takes a picture, though. I didn't know that. Yeah, I don't know. I think all of that's pretty intentional, but whatever.
No. I agree. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that. Yeah. I mean, I think the rather than have a scene where he's just sitting there and there's no camera and he's like trying not to look at her, having it be as though what he is trying to do is he is trying to interact. Okay, go ahead, Troy.
Oh, well,
I mean, I don't know. I was like trying to figure out how to end that
Oh.
sentence. I didn't really know.
Okay, I was just trying to say after you, but yeah, I think there's something definitely hidden going on in that one. I think he's experimenting, right? Like he's totally taking a new direction here, and I don't know if he knows what he's taking a picture of. Like what is this
Right.
new place, right? Like he I don't know. It's a radical shift from him in terms of content and intent and audience, presumably. And I think it's something about like this is some kind of, I don't know. I had the feeling that he wasn't exactly sure what he was doing and like was sort of going into the unknown here in terms of like his work.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like it's not clear to us.
Mi-
Like we can't see what he sees, and maybe he also does not see what he sees.
Right. Well, maybe there.
And like what the camera will capture is gonna be interesting.
Maybe there's something here about I mean, obviously there's the immediate context, which is he's not looking at her because of, whatever obvious reasons. It would be impolite or something.
Yeah.
But
right,
like
right.
you might be able to interpret it as like he's not able to see the real thing. He can only see like the photograph of it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
you're always interfacing with like the the simulation of the subject, whether it be the war photos or other subway photos. It's like you're always a layer removed, and he himself is even a layer removed because he never stares at her. He only gets the photograph, which he presumably will look at, and so that's already like a layer of alienation.
Troy, to go, I don't know if this is just literally, Troy, what you were saying, or if this is adding on to it. But with his conversation with their like the couple's friends, and they're like having this argument about like the image and blah 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 and like photography, he clearly has this idea about, I know what's going on over here and I'm trying to communicate it to the people over here. And so like what he's taking a photo of is something that is like elusive, that he's trying to compress this big thing into a small thing and then show people. Whereas the subway, like you said, with like this, he doesn't even know what he's trying to capture or whatever, is entirely different. It's not like he knows what he's taking a photo of and is trying to communicate it to other people. He's just taking a photo of it.
Yes, precisely.
Okay.
Right. He. Yes.
Okay.
Much
I
like
didn't know.
Daddy
I didn't know if
Mikhail.
connecting it to the dinner conversation was useful, like a useful comment. But
I like the way it sounded.
But yeah, I mean, it sounds like it seems to me as though it really like as far as like an actual progression, not just by evidence of the first set of photos to the second set of photos, an actual progression in his mindset is like expressed by him himself. So I mean, I think it bolsters what you're saying.
And we've already said it, but it's the transition from like a more manipulative yet hollow image to
Yes.
a more, let me actually just try and show you something rather than tell you about something.
Yeah, and in his letter or whatever over the top of the second set of images, he expresses his doubt about his own position, and like how that he says something like maybe she's right, speaking about the woman that he's arguing with. Yeah.
Steven, do you have something? I think.
Not really. I guess the final comment I'd make, without going into it too much, is that I think her beauty and probably in some way his relationship to art, and maybe our relationship to art in general, is very objet art. This is like clearly a case of objet art in that things are made beautiful through their like elusive quality or something like that. Especially in her face, it's literal. It's literally just that we don't get like a clear view of her face. In his case, there is still the thing which he desires, like he won't look directly at. I think that I actually lean toward a little bit more towards Elsmore's reading, which I don't think is incompatible with anything, but it is that there is some sort of beauty right in front of him, but that he's not going to look at it. That's not necessarily a failing. That's just like the nature of like his assessment. Like that's like the nature of what we ascribe value to. That things like rely on some sort of obfuscatory quality about them, which could be even like rendering something into a picture actually creates a veil for the viewer, which makes it more valuable. Like that's like a theory of photography in general. Like there's something, there's a new value to photography in the fact that it can't communicate this three-dimensional quality or something like that. It's total ineptitude, but that we ascribe value and we make it becomes more valuable for its attempt at doing it or something like that.
So can this remain consistent even though it's revealed that he's basically just taking pictures of everybody on the subway, and that this project is like, I don't know, more about like just people on the subway in general rather than
right? Yes.
Okay.
So the second comment I made was about art in general, so it would apply to the taking all the pictures of the people. The first comment is about the filmic rendition of the scene, which is that we don't ever get a good view of her.
Okay.
And I think that that's actually relatively intentional, that we don't get a good view of her.
Okay.
Yeah, and like to have the scene. I mean, like most of the scene is spent trying to get a photo of this woman, and like, yeah, I mean that Hanukkah chose to do that, like as opposed to like sitting across from like an old man.
Right. Right. As opposed to a scene where he takes pictures of like several different older people or something like that.
Yeah. Totally.
And I don't know if I'm missing that it's already been mentioned, but like it seems relevant that the camera is like in some way not autonomous, but like he doesn't even know what he's like he literally isn't looking through the camera, right? Like he is pulling himself out of this equation, and obviously like there's this like the analogy is to like the work of Hanukkah and like his anti-manipulation thinking at least. and just like likening his work to the photos we see as being people that are clearly like you clearly look at these photos and like a lot about these people is communicated, and yet like you really don't know
Right.
anything about them.
Yeah, kind
And
of
just-
communicated. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff gets. I mean, look at this guy's face, right? Like it's just like these photos are, in my mind, undeniably very interesting,
Yeah.
and there's something
they're
super
good.
real about it, and
Really
all these
good.
things, and yet like you basically don't come away knowing more about them or anything. Anyway, it just. I'm just drawing the obvious comparison to Haneke's films and like the approach he's trying to take here of like, let me show you these people's lives. I'll show you just a screen, like just a photo of them, right? Like just a moment in time in which these things are happening. But like, you don't get the narrative. You don't get to know where it's going and where it came from. And you don't get to know, what it all means or something, which is what I think the ending sequence, like, I don't know, when I see it, I am like, oh my gosh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. This is the thing. It's going to happen. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like the ending sequence with the drumming is like so intense, and I am so ready for it to all come together or something to happen or something, right? And like really, it's just a couple little things, and it just that's just the rhythm, like the drumming goes on or something,
Yeah. If we could move to talking about the drumming, I think it's an interesting choice that like what the I mean I don't actually know if it's as blunt or as like on the nose as this, or is there something more nuanced to it, but to have like the deaf kids and the whole like allegory of the deaf kids or this kind of idea, metaphor, to have them be the ones that are like drumming, like creating the thing that creates this like overture that where it's like the first time in the film that all of these characters are seen back to back with no fragmented black between each thing, and it feels as though it's all becoming one thing or whatever. But yeah, just having it be like the deaf kids that are like the ones drumming. But then I was gonna ask, there seems to be something loaded about having like Amadou, like what he's teaching the deaf kids to do is to drum, which they can't hear it,
No,
like
they feel it. I feel like it's
I
the
mean,
only
they
thing.
feel it. They definitely feel it.
I
But
feel like it's the only
it's-
thing deaf kids could do.
Well-
is drum.
Well, and
Music
sign.
wise,
They can sign.
I mean, they could have families.
can
and
think,
can-
you
Well, yeah, I know, but it
They do
seems
cartwheels.
I mean, think about like I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's other things he could have them do. I mean, it's obviously a choice to have them drum, and
Uh-huh.
like it's an interesting choice. I
I'm
don't
Yeah,
know.
actually,
yeah.
I'm not with it at all. I think
Well,
of music
I mean-
options, drumming is like the obvious one.
Well,
It's like
music
the
No,
options.
that's not. I don't think
Oh.
that John is paying attention specifically to the fact that they are drums. I think he's
Oh.
pointing to the fact that the thing which plays while all the coalescing of the narrative occurs is done by the deaf children. Is
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
that was my
drawing attention to?
that was
No,
my
I
first
think-
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's relevant for sure. I'm just saying the choice of drumming. I thought you were saying the choice of drumming. Why? And I'm saying this seems like a super obvious thing. Like it's the only instrument they could realistically.
I mean,
Yeah,
You know,
no,
it seems
no,
like
no,
that.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Beethoven
I mean,
played piano, but
no, I mean, no, I'm not. No, I'm not saying that. Like, just the fact that the like community like service or whatever that like Amadou is doing at this deaf school that his sister goes to or whatever. Like he's teaching them to like. I don't know. I mean the whole.
oh,
I don't
do you
know.
mean like a tribal roots thing?
Like a cultural.
I don't know what I mean anymore. Now I'm confused. I thought I mean I still think that okay, I like the drumming because it is completely like auditory, and that that it can take place without any explanation or like time, like I don't know, like it appears on screen when the deaf kids are drumming and you know exactly what's going on instantly, and I don't know, you feel everything without having without having to pick up on like cues and like lines and people acting and blah blah blah. It's something that's like immediately expressed and clear what's going on and emotionally effective. Which I think that's answer to my question of what I was trying to ask about like why the drumming blah blah blah.
Yeah, I think. Well, obviously the cringe pragmatic purpose is that it's just such an awesome like motif to have recur because it just sounds and feels good when you're listening to it happen. Earlier on, do 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 do, it was fun the first time, and I think it happens the second time, and then this time, now it serves this like practical end. There just is something about like having a recurring motif that it like, I don't know, you just see something a few times within the same narrative, and it takes on some sort of fun quality that like binds it all together, and you can create that out of anything. Obviously, drums is an awesome one to use, and I'm sure that there's reasons you could explain, but I think it's, I don't know, just a case of recurring motif. I don't know.
The biggest thing to me that stands out about the drumming, in particular at the end, is the fact that it's not literally there, and it's the only case, right? Like music is being overlaid. Of course, the music is like originating in like a real place in the film.
Yeah.
But right, and it just seems to me to notably not belong. And I was trying to think hard last night when I watched it, like why? Because it definitely, it's clear like it's clear the effects it generates in terms of my stress levels or what I think is going to happen, and it creates this huge atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the way it drones on and all these things. But I was struggling to come up with something smart to say about, like, this is a very distinct moment in the film where there's basically music, which is something you never have in Hanukkah films outside of music that is physically taking place in the film.
I mean, I don't really understand like what you're like failing to make a point about, because I think you kind of already made it, just like when you're talking about like waiting for something to happen and like this feeling of everything coinciding and like becoming one big thing.
Right.
Well, this is
and
like
this aids to subvert that.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the primary intentions of it was to prime you to feel like when you have this like this thing that's taken on some sort of what's the term, like, I don't know, like a value within the narrative itself, isolated into this narrative, and you kind of enter this world. Just that it cues you to think that, okay, this I've seen this before. We keep being given it without an answer exactly. Now I'm seeing it while all these characters are coming together. There is some sort of like intuitive sense, I think, when you're watching that there is going to be an answer, or there is going to be an epic climax moment, which does something. And it subverts that. So it could be for that very reason.
It subverts it, but I just thought of something. Okay, so you have like the deaf kids playing the drums. It's like the super loaded metaphor for communication and all this that the film's been exploring, and then it's happening over the top of all these events or whatever of like failure to communicate, blah blah blah. And then the film doesn't. The climax is the film. The film's like failure to communicate or something like that. Like that. I mean, it's not like the film doesn't deliver because there's nothing to deliver because of this like barrier of communication or something like that. No, I mean,
I think you're on something for sure, but I disagree about failure to communicate because it sets you up to think it's going to, and then it doesn't. I don't think it's failing to communicate as much as it's acknowledging, like, I don't know. That's why the music thing. Why, like, it manipulates you, and then says, "Well, actually, I was just manipulating you." And like that seems, I'm trying to get like that seems like an occurrence, and I'm trying to figure out like why. Like, I don't think that just like seeing that is good enough alone. But I agree that there's 100% something about the relationship, the communicative relationship between the audience there, like that is being talked about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like it's been answered. I still don't really get it. Like, Sorry,
wait,
John. Were you gonna say something? No, John was John. Gonna
Oh,
say something?
I was gonna say something about the deaf girl or deaf kid at the very end, and how that's the last thing you see, and like contrast at the beginning. Maybe that'll open up more to what we're talking about. So you said something about the first situation, like how the first shot we're situated as this as the audience, like, and then it's revealed that they're like children, like guessing what they're saying, and the very end of the film is like bookending it or whatever, except we don't get like we already understand that like we're in the place of like the children at the beginning of the film, and then it's this kid doing this thing like trying to communicate or whatever, and then it just, I mean, yeah, that is like the last thing or whatever, last point. I mean, I don't even know if there's more to be said about that, but like I don't know if that opens up.
I think that
more of what we're
integrates
talking
well
about.
into this general theme of the first time you're shown something, it's you're being manipulated and it's vapid, and then later on the same tool is used, but it's used in a different way where you're presented with something quote unquote more real. Where, you know, in the first death scene, you have the girl who's you know, trying to mime something out, and all the kids are trying to guess, like, what is it? What could it be? Right? What is she doing? Right? So that's like the first occurrence of, say, like photographs, where you're looking at these war photos and you're trying to put them all together and grapple with like the horror or what, I mean, you know. But then it's later you see the subway photos and it's just kind of a plain thing where there's nothing really to interpret. And the same goes for the final scene, the last time that you're shown the deaf kid. It's just, there's nothing left to interpret. There's no one guessing what it is. It's simply just like is what you're seeing. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone.
No, I think that sounds right to me. In the end, all you really have is incomprehensible communication, at least to us. Maybe that's relevant, but like, yeah, or at least I think that's probably good enough. Maybe not. I don't know. We should probably more thoughts on the end scene. I'm just noting that we're actually coming to our time limit.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Sad to say, you know, per usual, all these scenes we miss out on: the taxi ride, the woman talking to the father.
That was a good
her
scene.
Husband.
The scene
This
where they're
entire-
walking. When the smoke or whatever. That was
walking in the smoke.
really epic.
This entire side story about Anna.
Yeah.
And hearing the abuse and then receiving a letter from an unknown person claiming to be the child asking for help, which sort of rings really similar to Haneke's other Palme d'Or winning film, Hidden or Caché, which stars who one of the stars of that film is the man on the subway who defends Anna.
Also, can we just quick shout out to the piano, not the teacher, but the piano player at the dinner when he gets up and turns around and it's revealed one of the blonde dudes is the guy from the piano teacher. Do you guys remember that? Did you make note of that?
No, what?
Go to the first dinner scene. And
where
then go to
the elites are eating?
Yes, and then go to the end. At one point, the blonde dude stands up and turns around, and you can see it's him.
All right, I'm looking for
Isn't
it.
that later in the movie? Isn't it like in the second half? Or no?
It might
Here it
be.
is.
It might be later. I don't know where it is actually. I do just remember.
Are we
that.
gonna talk about the
This is the
Hanukkah
wrong
expanded universe?
Okay.
Is this the wrong dinner scene?
Wait, no, go back,
Yeah,
go back.
right.
Dude, all
That
the
blonde
movies
guy
are
right there,
actually
that is him.
one.
Over
Blonde guy.
this guy who is
Oh,
looking
the guy
forward,
whose back we
that
see?
is him. So when we see that character get up, I swear to you, it is the character from the piano teacher.
Dude, Hanukkah
Okay.
expanded universe.
The Hanukkah, Hanukkah universe. Anyway, so lots of stuff we didn't quite get to. What a shame.
Wait. Can we? How close are we to the time limit? Like,
We are probably past.
Wait,
it.
I
getting-
didn't see
No,
what you were
we're
saying at all, Steven. Wait.
At some point, he gets up. It might not be here. There's another time they revisit the scene. Probably there is a point where he stands up.
I'll take your word for it.
It may be easier if we just look up the casting and compare it than to look for the scene
I'm
because it is very
I'm
brief.
really interested in This
I wanna know what's up with
random.
the
You want
funeral
to see your twinsy?
I want to know what's up with the funerals.
No,
Oh, it is. Wait.
Oh yeah, the
that's-
funeral scene's good.
Would you
Dude,
see
I
it?
like
that
that
seems
whole
that
thing.
seems that seems like a bit better line
wait,
of
what do you
draw
mean? What do you
than-
mean by same
Yeah.
guy?
Sitting
Are you
here
talking about
for-
the
Yeah, I
student?
agree.
Or
No,
are you
this
talking
guy.
about
Look,
someone
he's
else?
Yeah,
no,
the
no, no.
student.
No, it's
The
not
student,
him.
Yeah. Yep.
It's no.
It is.
It's someone else.
He's about to turn around. He's gonna turn around in a second.
It's
You know,
someone else.
this could be done in a Google.
I have
but
no idea
instead-
what the funeral scene's about, but I
We're
really
gonna
like
use our
where
precious time.
they put the little shovel on the they shovel a little dirt in.
Yeah.
I had never seen that before, and I found out it is a real thing.
Is the old woman the same old woman that lives across from her, or is it a completely different old woman and this is just some kind of independent scene that
Oh,
It's not
it
him.
is not him.
You sure?
It is not him.
Sure, absolutely.
No, it might be.
No, it's not.
I'm not.
That's not him.
I don't think
That's
that's
not
him.
him. Completely different skull shape,
I
different
don't-
hair color. Not this guy's not hot.
I don't know. I don't know who
He's definitely
died.
got scruff here.
I don't know who anyone is in the funeral other than obviously Anna.
Well-
And the person who died is someone who helped the photographer's dad work on the barn.
I'm gonna be really honest.
Oh, okay.
This is another point where I was extremely confused. So, I
I
was
was
actually
confused,
pretty
too.
confused throughout the entire film. Unfortunately, I thought that Brody, that Jean, I thought he was the son of the actress character at first.
Oh no.
And then
Hmm.
I thought that he's the one who died. And I also
Whoa.
thought that I also
you
thought
watched a very different movie.
I also thought I just completely forgot what I was going to say, but it was really relevant to this same idea. Oh fuck. What did I also
See, you're even confused now.
No, cuz I started thinking about something else. Fuck, this is just hilarious. But yeah, I mean they like the photographer and the sister or yeah, no, I mean I guess not the sister, the girlfriend because the photographer is the brother. When they go visit the father and the kid, I didn't see the kid. I thought that
He's not there.
was also another sign that he was dead and that they were meeting because the kid had died. And oh yeah,
No,
I
he's
thought
alive.
the
They
kid.
talk about where is he?
I thought the kid died in the sequence where the photographer is talking about his thing with the Taliban. I thought that was a description of a terrorist event where the kid died. So
You.
I was totally lost.
Alright.
I thought all these things were together. These like 4 separate things explaining the kid's death, which is yeah.
But all things were separate.
That is unfortunate, Elsmore. I'm sorry to hear that. But second time's the charm. We've gotta wrap this up. So, ending thoughts. I really like this movie. Oh, big surprise! Troy loves Hanukkah. Yeah, it's a shame we didn't get to talk about more. I agree with John in my desperate desire to talk about the Anne and the abuse neighbor and all that stuff, but a lot of stuff to talk about. Really enjoy it on just like a visceral, emotional level. I'm gonna give it a 4.
I really like this film as well. I will definitely be rewatching it many times. I think it stands out from what I've seen of Hanukkah so far. I think it's I love how understated so much of it is, and yet how like boldly, like emotionally it like affects me. Yeah, really enjoy this film, and I am giving it a 4.2.
Steven?
Okay. This movie was good. This movie was very good. I won't beat around the bush. 4.0.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, I thought the movie was okay. Unfortunately, I was not paying my best attention to the film when I watched it. I missed out on a lot of stuff, which through this conversation, I figured out what I missed out on from me not giving the film my full attention. But regardless, I will still rate it based on my impressions, which is I'm gonna give it like a 3.3, and I think some of that may be by virtue of my deficient knowledge about the film.
I'm sticking with my original opening thoughts. I have not been transformed, unfortunately. While some scenes were viscerally gripping and really amazing, holistically, I just wasn't that emotionally involved and emotionally drawn. And then that made it, because I was so like unenthralled, it made it not super willing to mine for ideas and go deeper into the film and think about it a lot. So I'm just gonna give this a 2.0.
Okay, a polarizing film.
Wow.
We're all up and down the scale.
That's quite the spread. I think 2 is the lowest score given by anyone so far.
No. I believe, didn't Jacob give something lower at some point?
Jacob gave 1.
Jacob gave Seventh Continent an evil.
Oh.
Wait, no, hold on. Let's look. Let's look. Lowest score.
1.5.
Evil out of 5.
Lowest score I've got here. No, Elsmore, your only score that got documented was "quote unquote" evil.
That's not true.
So you could.
Seventh
I
Continent.
thought at one point you said
it said on Spotify.
Is it on
Spotify?
It says
Oh,
1.
on Spotify. Oh, okay. Then we've got a
And
one
then
in the mix. All
I
right.
rated Vivre Savi 1.5.
Oh, that's right.
Not it.
Also, I think I'll delay this until after we stop recording.
All right. Well, got a blast. Thank you, loyal listeners.
Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, let us know what you think and drop a subscribe.
In the comments.
Yeah, subscribe, like, share with your friends and enemies.
If you're from Kosovo, drop us a little story. Tell us how it is.
Yeah, tell us about
Tell us how
Kosovo.
it is. Tell us, show.
We actually have a lot of listeners in Kosovo.
And make prove
Hundreds.
Hanukkah wrong.
We apologize for
Characterizing
misrepresenting
you.
your geographic location and all that stuff. All right. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.